The first thing I want to do is welcome everybody here, all the chiefs and councils, Grand Council, and all the program directors, and the youth and the elders, and invited guests, and anybody that has come here today for this conference. I was asked to come here and to speak about our community sessions. As most of you know, those community sessions were a result of the Idle No More movement. And that movement is a good movement. It's a movement which is the eyes and ears of Aboriginal people in this country from coast to coast. The work that they do is in support of issues that are very important to the nations of this country. And when I say that, I'm talking about treaties, Aboriginal rights, treaty rights, and all of those things that are so important to us, land, and everything that is important to every nation, and that is really important. This is a very important time in the life of the Mi'kmaq here in Nova Scotia. We are on the crest of many, many new visions, and a lot of them aren't new visions. Some are visions of our people they've had for many generations, and that is respect, honor, and trying to live in this province as was meant by the treaties that were signed, pre-Confederation treaties. And I can see how people in a community, younger people, elders and everybody, being very cautious and being very cautious and very nervous about when we embark on something that talks about those things. Even though we've talked about them for all our lives. I've been working on this issue for almost 40 years, and it was always important to me. And but now we're in an era where we can do something about it. And one of the misconceptions that happened with Idle No More, and which is okay, because some people, you know, computers, social media, websites are good for many things. But sometimes it does the wrong things, and it does more damage. Department of Indian Affairs has a website where they print out things that are going on with Indian people in this country, First Nations. And one of those websites is about the comprehensive claims. And a lot of the claims and issues that were being brought forth by the Idle No More movement was things that they were reading on that website. And we all know that that website is outdated. It's the Department of Indian Affairs does not update their website every day or every month or even sometimes every year. So it was an old website. And even today, if you look at it, it still doesn't read the way that we would like to see it read. So that caused a lot of concern and raised many issues, and that's why all this movement took place, because they were afraid, and they should have been afraid, because we would never, ever, the Mi'kmaq in Nova Scotia always took the position they would never, ever get into any kind of a negotiation that would extinguish any of their rights, whether they be Aboriginal or whether they be treaty or whether they be title. They always said they would never, ever. That was a non-starter. The other thing is, the chiefs do mandate the negotiations process. They're the boss. They're the ones that give the direction, and these were their directions. Those three things, and the other thing was never get into a loan agreement. Don't be taking money from the federal government to do work and have to pay it back in the end. That was another one. So those are just some of the things, and we said, and that was the discussions that went on, and we were successful because we did not get into under the comprehensive claims arrangement. And the federal government only came to talk to us and to talk about implementation of our rights. We don't even say negotiation of our rights. We say the implementation of our rights, because we have our rights. The Mi'kmaq in Nova Scotia have their rights. They have their Aboriginal rights, they have their treaty rights and the right to title, and they're not about to negotiate them. And we've made that clear, because it was made clear to us by the chiefs, the leadership. So we made that clear, and we said it's about implementation. It's about implementation. What we are doing, it's about time, because that treaty, those treaties belong to not only us, the Mi'kmaq, but they belong to the Crown, the other side of the party that signed those treaties. And there was something in there for all of us, but they moved on without us. Now it's time to talk about where they left us behind, and what's happened in this province where we were not involved. Now is a chance to get involved. Mind you, we can't go back we can't go back to 1700, but we're in 2000. What do they mean in the year 2012? What does that mean? And that's what we've been talking about, and what we're trying to, we have research going on, we want people to talk about, and we need advice, and we want to move on. The hunger strike, I'm glad it hasn't carried on too much momentum in this country, but we had it here, we had it in Millbrook, and I guess for them it was a very good reason. I guess it was something to lay their life on the line about. But unfortunately, what they were basing it on was not quite factual. There was a lot to be said. And the chiefs did meet with them, and finally they made, I guess, they just came to an agreement that if they would stop, that they would all go to the communities and talk. They would present their claims and what they believed, and the KMK would go with them, and we'd present our claims and what we felt was factual. And it happened. We did that. We went through that exercise. We went to every community. We went to every community in this province except for Indian Brook. And we didn't go to Indian Brook because we have not been requested to go. And we're available to Indian Brook. We've made it known to them. We are available to talk to them anytime they want to talk to us, chief and council and anybody else in that community. They're Mi'kmaq people, and when I talk, I'm talking about Mi'kmaq people. So it means a lot of people, maybe a lot of people outside of this room, people in Nova Scotia, all people who are Mi'kmaq. And there's a lot of things to talk about. But yes, it's when we're here for them, and we always will be. So we went to every community except that community, and it was just a repetition over and over. They kept saying the same things, and we kept explaining the same things, and finally we did them all, and that's what's in the report. And the report that is available to you, that is being released today to the public. And I would like to think that that exercise was not an exercise of futility. It was something that had to happen, and maybe it was a good thing. I think it raised people's awareness, people's consciousness. It made them start thinking about what's happening and what's going on. which is really, really important. And there's a lot of work going on. You can tell by the staff we have here and by the material that's being produced. And we do want it to be an all-inclusive operation. We want people involved. And one of the things that I found out personally from all of this is there was a lack of communication. There was a lack of information. And it may not be the lack of information, but it was, we need to find a better way of providing information to the communities and to the people in those communities. And I always say this, and people will have heard me say it over and over again. Every Mi'kmaq person has a right to have their say, and every Mi'kmaq person has a right to be heard. And I really believe that. And as long as I'm in, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, but as long as I am, I will certainly make every effort to see that this happens. Because you're planning for the future, you're planning for the future of your generations to come, as we always say. We say a lot of things, we've said a lot of things, but it's time to start doing those things. And some people get a little nervous and scared. Oh, my Lord, you know, we can't. And you know why? We are, because we've had somebody looking after us. We've had the Department of Indian Affairs, and they supposedly was supposed to be looking after us. But I don't think it works. I never did. But you have that. But the most important thing is you got your rights. You have them. And no matter how slowly you want to move and how much time you want to take, it's perfect.
We provided a draft copy of the community session report to the Assembly this summer, with the final version, including our recommendations, presented and passed via resolution for public release at their most recent Assembly meeting, and today is the day of the official public launch. An electronic copy of the report has been provided to everyone here today on the USBs as an attempt to be environmentally friendly, but we will have some hard copies at the back for anyone who is looking for a hard copy. As Viola had stated, our community sessions started in March of 2013 and were completed in June of this year. Recommendation number 1, raise community awareness. Our main objective is to ensure that our communities to be aware of the work that the Assembly and KMKNO is doing, and to ensure that the best possible future for the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia is being sought. It is important to our organizations and to the work that we do that the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia feel that they have access to information and the knowledge that chiefs, councillors, and our organizations hold. We also wanted to reiterate with this report that KMKNO is not making decisions that will result in the loss of our treaties and Aboriginal rights. Through this recommendation, we have begun work with organizations like MK to discuss the development of materials for our schools so we can help to increase treaty education. We have also committed to creating more opportunities for community members to be involved in these discussions through workshops, focus groups, think tanks, etc. And we also want to examine the option of doing video updates. We see that it's working well for a lot of our communities, and we want to continue that. Recommendation number 2, enhance the decision-making process. It was important to us and to the community that we reiterated that there are issues that will develop from the Made in Nova Scotia process that the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia will have to vote on and make the final decision on. Our community members need to be assured that this is a community-driven process. KMKNO has committed that we will continue to send out regular updates, to each community through chiefs, councils, community newsletters, and include articles in the Mi'kmaq Maliseet Nations News on a regular basis. We also want to look into having youth representatives at the assembly table, which we're happy to say we started the process on, and we welcome the youth who are with us here today, joining us at today's conference. We will also be undergoing an organizational restructuring at KMKNO, one where the technicians and the leads for each department will participate in the negotiations main table meetings. After all, each of these individuals work very closely within the communities and have a strong understanding of the community concerns and issues surrounding their file. And finally, we will be developing a Community Champions program, one in which community members will become the liaison between our organization and the community. A community champion is responsible to their community first and foremost. They will act as the point person between the community and the assembly. We hope to have a few representatives from each community, including elders, youth, women, and caretakers. We will be looking for suggestions today from each of you on who you think would be a good community champion for each of your respective communities. We have sign-up sheets available at our tables out back for anyone to take should you know somebody or think of somebody who may be interested in assuming this role. It is our hope that the community champions will provide an avenue between community members and our organization for people to voice their concerns, ask questions, or provide information on what KMKNO has done, what we are currently doing, and what our plans are for the future. Recommendation number 3, enable leadership advocacy. We want to ensure that you all feel that you are educated on the issues and what is being done on behalf of the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia. With this, we have committed to providing an update to councillors, band staff, executive directors, and communication staff from each community on topics for discussion at each assembly meeting. We'd also like to add this overview to the members-only section on the KMKNO website. We also want to host a communications think tank where we will bring together all the communications officers or respective individuals who do that role in each community and organization to learn from each other and to share with one another so we can ensure that we move forward together, and we are doing so together as a nation. Thank you.